Dear Divine Selves, do you know a single jiva or a single human being who is not ever desirous of freedom from all limitations? Do you know a single human being who is not seeking every moment complete freedom from all kinds of sorrows and sufferings and permanent attainment of infinite bliss? No. If you investigate, examine the behavior of every single jiva, not only humans, freedom is the greatest value. Every single jiva is essentially working, striving, seeking freedom from all sorrows and sufferings and attainment of permanent bliss, love unconditioned, and beauty everlasting. Let's begin by inquiring our own seeking, our own set of dreams and desires. I don't remember myself as much I can remember my words, thoughts and actions since childhood, that I have ever sought sorrow or suffering. I have ever tried my best to wipe out, remove, become free from all sorrows and sufferings in life. And every moment of my life, I have been seeking joy, happiness, bliss infinite is innermost seeking of mine. I have no doubt. Do you? Look within and examine your own seekings, dreams, desires, behaviors, propensities, passions and pursuits of your life. At the core of every moment of your life, you have been seeking permanent cessation of all sorrows, sufferings, fears, insecurities, deprivations, anxieties. And we have been seeking love, absolute bliss, infinite and beauty everlasting. Because that is innermost and most fundamental instinct of every living being by nature. And attainment of the same in absolute sense is called in Vedic philosophy, especially Vedanta philosophy, moksha or mukti or nirvana, enlightenment, freedom, liberation, or even self-realization or God realization. For the sages and seers of Vedic culture for thousands of years have been investigating this most fundamental urge of every sentient being and come to the conclusion without any dispute that unless and until you come to the state where there is no sorrow, suffering, fear, insecurity, fear of disease, death, affliction, and attainment of absolute peace and eternal bliss, there would be restlessness, there would be anxiety, and there would be a sense of frustration, deprivation, and meaninglessness in life. That is why it's in Vedic culture, attainment of this supreme goal is called Param Purushartha, the ultimate objective of every human life is moksha, that is absolute freedom. Freedom from all limitations, freedom from all the bonds, freedom from all fears of insecurities, deprivations, disease, death, all kind of fears, unless and until are removed, there is no possibility of permanent peace and absolute bliss in our life. Despite all this, vast majority of humans have been leading and living a miserable life. For the life they have been bestowed with and the situations and circumstances in which they live appear to them the ultimate reality, the supreme truth, and they find themselves in a state of helplessness. I can't do anything. What can I do? I am helpless. This helplessness, this sense of utter helplessness is not real. This cynicism and this sense of helplessness is born out of ignorance. Ignorance about what? Ignorance about yourself. Mind you, ignorance about your true nature, your real personality is at the root of all your sorrows, sufferings, fears, frustrations, death, disease, affliction, and anxieties. Therefore, if the chain of sorrows and sufferings, death and disease we are afflicted with are not real and they are born out of ignorance, as the sages, seers and Vedic metaphysics proclaim, then we must try to find out as to how to get over this chain of sorrows and sufferings by removing ignorance. The entire Vedic literature proclaims with proclaimed hands that there is no possibility of your absolute freedom or moksha or cessation of all sorrows and sufferings and attainment of absolute unhindered bliss without removal of primal ignorance. Anadya vidya. What's primal nescience? What's that? That ignorance about our true nature as I am and what I am. That's all. I don't have to do any work, I don't have to do any action, I don't have to do any charity, I don't have to do any yajna. Upanishads declare that no amount of pious work, no amount of pilgrimage, no amount of sacrifices and charities, no amount of righteous and good actions in your life and millions of lifetimes, you will be able to attain your most fundamental aspiration, that is permanent cessation of sorrows and sufferings and attainment of absolute bliss. That is not going to become possible by either action or by wealth or by yajna or sacrifices or pilgrimage, nothing. There is only one way out. There is only one way whereby we can get over this perennial problem afflicting the mankind. And that is so simple. Removal of the ignorance about our true identity, true nature, real personality alone can bring about that radical transformation in your life whereby you would become free from all limitations, all sorrows and sufferings, and would be able to enjoy right here in this life itself absolute bliss unhindered. By what? By knowing your true nature. All sorrows and sufferings in our lives are not born out of some lack of work or effort or endeavor. It's not produced by indolence. All sorrows and sufferings in our life without exception are essentially and fundamentally born out of ignorance about the supreme reality, ignorance about our true nature. Therefore, since getting rid of all sorrows and sufferings is our fundamental desire, and the other side of the same coin is absolute bliss, beauty and love, then how to realize it? It's so simple. By knowing that aspect or that dimension of your personality which is free from all sorrow and sufferings, and bliss is intrinsic, love is inherent, and beauty is natural to that aspect of your life or personality. So essentially what they are trying to suggest is that you are already free from all sorrow and sufferings, and you are endowed with infinite love, bliss and beauty in your true nature. It's only that you don't know about it. Only if you could know your true nature, your true self, the Atman, the heart and soul of your existence is unknown to you, and that is the root cause of all your sorrow and sufferings. And once you know the true nature of the self, the Atman, that is yourself, you will become instantly and immediately free from all sorrow and sufferings, and blessedness infinite would be flowing unhindered. That's why Upanishads declare Tarati Shokam Atmavid. The knower of the self, Atmavid, the knower of the self, gets over all the sorrows and sufferings. By knowing your true self alone, you will be able to get over meaningfully, permanently, essentially free from all sorrow and sufferings. The chain that is ever bothering you, troubling you, your life has been miserable, howsoever rich and powerful you are, one or the other kind of sorrow and suffering is haunting. Only if you knew your true nature, there is no possibility of any fear of disease or death or suffering. So Upanishads declare Tameva viditva timrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya Vedahametam purusham mahantam maditya varanam tamasah parastat Tameva viditva timrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. One of the most radical slokas of Shvetashvatar Upanishad, and that is acceptable across Upanishads and Vedantic philosophy, and that is by knowing that supreme truth, the supreme Lord, the Brahman, who is ever present in the heart of every jiva as self, as Atman, and who is ever self-effulgent, self-luminous reality, Hiranya, Aditya Varanam. So that self-luminous, self-effulgent, self-shining Supreme Lord, Purusham Mahantam, the great Lord, that is Brahman, the attributeless Brahman, who is of the nature of existence, absolute, consciousness pure, and bliss infinite. That supreme reality, the Brahman, is ever present in the heart, that is in the antakarana, mind and intellect of every jiva and ever shining, who is ever free, who alone is ever free, and since that supreme reality is ever unattached and non-dual, indivisible, almighty reality, omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent reality, and that reality, not part of that reality, because that reality, essentially of the nature of pure consciousness, is indivisible and non-dual reality. So even if the Supreme Lord, Purusham Mahantam, the one supreme reality who is present as the Atman of every jiva in their hridayam, that is mind, who is ever self-luminous, self-shining reality, he or it shines everything, but this is verily self-luminous. None can shine it. It shines everything, everyone. So unless and until you realize that supreme secret of yours, the Lord Supreme, the God ultimate, and the power eternal is ever indifferent from yourself. In other words, unless and until you realize means realize, it's a very deep word, self-realization. Just by knowing, reading, studying the scriptures and being taught either in BhagavadGita or Upanishads or Brahma Sutras or Adi Shankaras that you are immortal, your soul is immortal, that's not enough. Listening is not enough. You have to realize. The term originally real. Unless and until it seeps and sinks in through every pore of your body, it begins to tingle with every single drop of blood, and every single breath in and breath out begins to radiate with that supreme realization that I am that supreme self-luminous Atman. Unless you realize, that is, you experience the infinitude of your Atman, infinitude, the catchword infinitude. Your Atman is ever infinite. All limitations, all sorrows and sufferings have been superimposed due to ignorance of your true nature. Therefore, unless and until you know what you are at and what you are not, no possibility of moksha, that is of the nature of permanent cessation of all the sorrows and sufferings and attainment of absolute bliss, which each of us, whether astik or nastik, believer or non-believer, there is not a single human being on the planet ever who would differ. This is the most fundamental scientific discovery of the sages of Upanishads. It's yours, mine, everyone's fundamental instinct. Unhindered eternal love, bliss and beauty is our desire, and cessation of all the sorrows and sufferings precedes this. So let's examine, let's proceed to see how can we attain that state, and that is possible to attain within a fraction of time. Since it is not amenable to endeavors, actions, japa, tapa, worship, yajna, sacrifice, no amount of riches, no amount of actions, no amount of pious deeds are going to bring about that state of permanent bliss where there is not an iota of and trace of sorrow and suffering, without knowing your true nature, which in itself is ever free from all sorrows and sufferings, and bliss is intrinsic and inherent. Unconditional love and infinite bliss is intrinsic to that aspect of your life or personality or reality or essence. So let's embark on a short journey whereby we will try to examine and see that how are we going to attain to that state where there is not a trace of sorrow or suffering and absolute bliss is experienced every moment. That would be possible, as I have already hinted, by removing the ignorance about your true nature, that is your Atman, and realizing the true nature of yourself. So we are going to deploy one of the simplest and most profound method today to attain to that supreme glory. We are going to focus today on one of the verses of Ashtavakragita. I have already, I think, given discourse on in Hindi. I have already given more than 50-60 discourses on Ashtavakragita, but now I have embarked on English discourses. So this is the second in the series, and I have already covered 3 verses of the first chapter of Ashtavakragita. We will take 4th verse of first chapter of Ashtavakragita, and this one shloka is capable of transforming your life and bringing about that supreme glory within your reach if you are true seeker. It's so simple and yet most powerful. So, Maharishi Ashtavakra tells Janaka. What is he going to tell him? The secret of immediate liberation, the secret of that supreme glory where there is no possibility of any sorrow or suffering, and absolute bliss becomes real, that mukti, that moksha. He is going to tell you the know-how, the technology as to how immediately by one method itself you will straight enter in the realm of eternity and immortality, where death, disease, afflictions, sorrows and sufferings can't touch, and absolute bliss is unhindered. So this 4th verse goes like this. Yadi deha prithakritya chitte vishramyate sthase adhunaiva sukhi shanto bandhamukto bhavishyasi bandhamukto bhavishyasi. Adhunaiva sukhi shanto. Right now, right here, you would become free from all limitations, all sorrows and sufferings and bondages. Amazing declaration. See the depth and the power of the proclamation of the sage. Adhunaiva sukhi shanto. Whatever you have been seeking, and whatever you means the entire human race. In other words, in fact, every single jiva is seeking that, but it is not possible for other species, but humans are endowed with the discriminating faculty. They can know the difference between the real and unreal, eternal and ephemeral. Thereby, he is declaring in this one verse the entire know-how of instant enlightenment and immediate liberation. By just one method, you have to do just one thing. Yadi deha prithakritya chitti vishramya tishtasi. O Janaka, only if you could separate the self from the not self. Let me first translate it literally. The term he is using, though he is trying to suggest the method of separating the self from the not self. This verse is telling us the method whereby separating the self from the not self, one becomes immediately liberated. Muktatman jiva. Jivan mukta. So how does it happen? He says, O Janak, only if you could separate your body from your Atman. Chitti means pure consciousness, the Atman, the soul. O Janak, if you could separate your body from your soul, the Atman, then, O Janak, if you could separate your, just listen, it has to be heard or reflected upon hundreds of times. This one verse is prescribing that radical method whereby you would realize that supreme glory. That is moksha. First thing, if you could separate the body from the self or the soul, and then chitti means consciousness, self, soul, there are dozens of words, Atman. So if you could separate your body from your soul or Atman or chitti, and then if you could rest in chitti vishramya tishtati, if you could just rest in the Atman, what is the meaning of that? It means if you could just abide in the Atman, if you could revel in the chitti, the soul, the Atman, then adhunaiva sukhi shanto bandha mukto bhavishyasi. O Janak, adhunaiva, right now, right here, you would become free from all afflictions. Adhunaiva sukhi shanto, you would become happy in deeper sense. He is not talking about a sensual pleasure or gratification that comes out of this finite attainments. He is in a very fundamental, deeper sense using the term adhunaiva sukhi shanto. You would become right now happy, peaceful, bandha mukto bhavishyasi, and free from all bondages. Bandha mukto, you would become free from all bondages, you would become peaceful and happy right now, right here, only if you could do two things. Separate the body from self and reside in the self, abide in the self, revel in the self, live in the self. What is the meaning of that? Let's dissect it. What is the meaning of separating the self from not self? These are separate, dozens of words for the same thing. We would use for our purpose self and not self. Body is not self. Body, mind, and the entire universe made of 5 basic elements is not self. And the seer, the witness of all these 5 basic elements and the world that is made of these 5 elements is supreme reality. As I have already explained in the previous lecture, in the 3rd verse, where he declared, he is elaborating on the same. Let me touch it again. The 3rd verse. Na prithvi na jalam na agnir vayur daurva bhava nesham sakshidam atmanam chidrupam vidhi muktaye. I was already telling you that it is the know-how, the technology. Where is the science? Here is the science. In the 3rd verse he had given the science and I have explained it in length. So let me summarize again this 3rd verse too, that O Janak, you are not either earth, water, fire, air or ether or mixture of all this. You are witness to all these. In simple words, what he is saying, that the body, your body, which you have come to believe as your self or Atman or your personality or your reality. Vast majority, more than 99.9% of the humanity thinks or believes that, oh, this body is the whole and soul reality, this alone is the Atman. So he is saying, no, this body is not reality. This body that is made of the 5 basic elements, and not only this body, the mind, the subtle and gross bodies, along with the entire phenomenal universe is false. You are none of them, you have nothing to do with them, but you are witness of all this, that is Sakshi Chaitanya, illuminator, revealer, the soul. You are not Deha but Dehi. You are not the body but the soul in the body, the spirit in the body, the self in the body. You are not the universe but the universal spirit, that is Atman, that you are. He has already explained it. So what you are and what you are not, you are not anything and everything that is being perceived as an object of perception. You are nothing and none of the objects of the phenomenal universe which are visible, which are being experienced. So you are not any of the drishyas, anything that could be. I am explaining it how to know the falsehood, the impermanent, ephemeral, illusory not self, and renounce it. You have nothing to do. Separate yourself, detach yourself from the 5 basic elements, and the world and your own body and mind all are made of this not self, anatman. Know for sure that the entire universe, your own body, mind, senses, they are all anatman, means unreal, illusory appearances. And only then you would come to know that you are illuminator, you are witness, Sakshi Chaitanya, you are the light. What he is saying to suggest, You are light of consciousness, that is witness, Sakshi. You are unattached light of consciousness within and without, which illumines this body and the entire universe. That light is one indivisible, non-dual reality. So, you are not the body, you are none of the five elements, you are the spirit, you are the Atman. So, that's he has already explained in third verse, which you must listen to carefully, the previous discourse of mine. And then today, as I was talking about on the fourth verse, then he is saying the same, he is elaborating and going and giving you the foolproof, simple, golden rule to become free. What is that? You separate the self from the not self, that is, separate the body from the Atman and abide in the Atman. What is the meaning of, I am using the terms abide in the Atman or Chitti, live in the Atman, revel in the Atman? It means disidentify yourself, disidentify and detach. Mind the words. Just in a few sentences, entire Advaitic mystery will be revealed to you. But they are very profound and deep, you have to catch it. Mind the words. Detach and disidentify yourself from the body and re-identify and attach yourself by, how come and how do I attach? By identifying yourself with what? Chitti, Atman. This is the entire Advaita Vedanta. What is the problem? We have identified ourselves as this finite, mortal, ephemeral body as the Atman. So, this is the primordial ignorance. You have to remove it. How can? By separating the self from not self, separating the body from the Atman. And then, once you have separated, by knowing that anything and everything that is visible to me through my sensory perception, or anything that could become an appearance to me, an objective appearance to me, that is not me, and your body, your mind, your thoughts, your intellect, and the entire universe falls in this category. Every moment the entire universe is appearing to you. Everything in your body, even in your thought process, is appearing and disappearing. But you are not appearing and disappearing. The one who is not appearing and disappearing, the one immutable witness, the light of pure consciousness, that is the Atman within you, that pure consciousness, you are. Therefore, disidentify, detach yourself from the body consciousness and re-identify, reattach, that is, identify your real nature as consciousness, as Atman, and thereafter revel in that, rest in that. That is called, in detailed methodologies of self-realization or in yogic traditions, Akhanda Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Jnana Samadhi, Sahaj Samadhi. What is that? They are doing, the self-realized masters are just reveling or abiding in the self. This alone, Chitti Vishramya Tishtasi. The self-realized masters just do this alone. They are resting, they are reveling, they are abiding in the Chitti, that is supreme reality, that is called Brahman, that is called Paramatman, that is called Bhagavan, that is called Parameshwar. They are different words, but in the ultimate reality. And reveling in that doesn't mean that in the realm of duality, as if in the pond or a swimming pool you are enjoying in the hot summer, the cool bathing or swimming in the pool. No. Resting in the chitti means becoming that consciousness, knowing for sure that I, at my core of existence, I and my Atman was never ever anything else but eternal, immutable, pure consciousness is my true nature. The I, ever shining I within me. Tell me a single example of a single jiva, a stupid or enlightened or great scientist. Every moment the I, aham vritti, the I thought is the first and foremost thought in every jiva, that I. Due to ignorance, we have come to attach this body, mind to this I, but I is never attached to this body or mind or thoughts or sensory perception. This I, that is of nature of chitti, pure consciousness, is my true, eternal, universal, transcendental nature and reality. And by identifying, just identifying, disidentifying and detaching from the body and re-identifying with the spirit, consciousness, Atman, you are just now, right here, you are free from all the elements. You become happy, peaceful. The term peaceful, Sukhi, Shanto, it's deeper meaning. Shanto means free from all sorrows and sufferings, all fears and frustrations, insecurities, and attainment of absolute bliss. That is the meaning of Sukhi Shanto, Bandha Mukto Bhavishyasi. Bandha Mukto, you are free from all limitations. All sorrows and sufferings in our life arise out of our identity with limited identities, those things which are limited. All my life style, all my life experiences are born out of limitations. This body itself was born a few decades ago, it will disappear after a few decades. Or maybe next moment, one doesn't know. So this body was born in a time cycle. This body right now is a reality of a very small space in this particular room in Rishikesh, Haridwar, and this a few square feet of space it has occupied. So it is limited by time, it is limited by space, and this body called that body of Swami Sacchidananda, this again is limited by this particular body. That's I. My I at this moment in the state of ignorance is nothing but, oh, this body, my sickness or my health or my happiness or suffering, everything is identical to the suffering or relation of this body. That is due to ignorance. So break free from this bandha mukto bhavishyasi. I will have to explain it. You have to know it. How is that just by separating the body from the Atman and reveling, residing and abiding in the Atman, you become free, you attain moksha, mukti, and all the anarthas, all the sorrows and sufferings are annihilated forever. This you must understand. Because all sorrows and sufferings, finitude, death, birth, sickness, was confined and limited and intrinsic and natural to this body, which is made of the basic 5 elements. This fundamental reality must be grasped. This body by nature, and this, when I am saying this body, there is no difference between this body and other bodies, and the totality of the entire body is called Vishwara Sansara. The phenomenal universe is nothing other than totality of the bodies. So all bodies, whether in unitary or in totality, are made of finitude. They are born, they are divided and limited by the sense of time, space and causation. Desha kala vastu parichinna in Sanskrit. My body or your body or the body of sun, moon, galaxies, mountains, oceans, all the bodies are projections of the limited mind. There is no world without mind, and there is no mind without world. The mind and the phenomenal universe are one and the same, and both are unreal, ephemeral. So, by separating the self from not self, what is not self? Sharira, the universe, the body and the universe. And what is Atman? Pure consciousness, Chitti, the seer, the witness, right now, right here, the light of consciousness alone is illumining every movement of my body and body parts. Every single sense organ is being illumined by the infinite light of pure consciousness. The entire discourse is revealed or being made possible in the light of pure consciousness. So body, mind, spirit, everything is floating, seemingly appearing in one infinite light of pure consciousness. That is the Atman, which is unlimited by either time or space or causality. So the body is limited. The body parts or the entire physical phenomenal universe is limited by time, space and causation, whereas the Atman, the Chitti, consciousness which I am, the Atman which is my real nature, that is free from all the limitations of time, space and causation, and thereby ever free from either disease or death or sorrow or suffering. Because in my essential nature, what is the essential nature of consciousness, Chitti? Sacchidananda. The entire Panchadashi is an explanation and exposition of the term Sacchidananda. My nature, by nature I am Sacchidananda, I Chitti. Ashtavakra say that just separate the Atman from body and revel, abide in the Atman, and then you become immediately, right now, right here, free from all sorrows, sufferings, and you attain absolute bliss, peace, and all bondages are broken free. That is called Moksha. How does it happen? Because Atman by nature, the consciousness, the witness of my body, right now consciousness or the consciousness alone is called Nirguna Nirakara Brahma, attributeless Brahman in Sanskrit, in Vedanta philosophy, in English called pure consciousness, because it is of nature of Shuddha Bodha, Sat Chita Ananda. Sat is eternal existence, that is immutable, and that is of the nature of pure consciousness. And that pure consciousness is intrinsically, inherently blissful. Love, unconditioned, is intrinsic to my Chitti, my consciousness, my Atman. There is not a single iota of love, bliss or beauty anywhere outside my Chitti, my Atman. this discourse is being made possible in a state of ignorance. That's why I have to say, my bliss, I am bliss essentially. When I have identified as Ashtavakra is saying, Chitti Vishramya Tishtasi, once you identify yourself not as body, that is not, you are not Anatman, you are Atman of the nature of pure consciousness, and then you live as Atman, that is identity. The identity, complete realization of complete identity between the individual self and Supreme Self alone is called Moksha and Mukti in Vedanta. Repeat, the complete unity and identity between the individual self, Jivatman, and the Supreme Self, Paramatman alone is called Moksha. For in that realization you come to experience for yourself as a fact, empirical fact, not a matter of faith or belief. You come to realize that as Atman, as pure consciousness, I am never amenable to the laws of time, space or causation. All time are imaginary appearances within me. All spaces are imagined in me. All the world of causality is nothing but appearances projected through mind. I am beyond time, I am beyond space, I am beyond the world of causality, and this entire phenomenal universe conditioned by time, space and causality is mere appearance in me, upon me. This world or the hundreds and millions of worlds and the objects of this phenomenal universe come and go, appear and disappear, but I, the Atman, the pure consciousness, remain immutable, eternal existence ever, and I am ever unattached, asanga. Nothing can touch me. I am death of death. Nothing can touch me. The death is imaginary appearance in me. Death is born in me, death dies in me. I never get affected. I am of the nature of pure consciousness. I am witness to the death of the infinity of universes. I am that immortal, supreme, universal, almighty reality in and upon which the so-called creation and dissolution and existence of the world appears to be. There is nothing other than me, there is nothing separate from me, there is nothing outside me. Now I have identified, now see, once I have identified myself, what is my feeling, what is my experience? I have nothing to do mentally, I am not, you don't have to bring a physical iron sword, no. The sword of wisdom is to be applied to separate the self from the not self and then live as Atman, abide in the Atman and enjoy the infinite bliss of the Atman, because in Atman, in my chitti, in my consciousness is ever unattached, nothing can touch it. No death, no weapon, all the atom bombs of the universe can't touch it. I am that supreme reality, that's why I am transcendent reality. The death and birth of the entire history, so-called history, all the dissolution and creation, all they are appearances, play of my mind. At the cosmic level, that is called the play of Maya. What is happening here at the play of my mind, that is happening at the cosmic level, the play of Maya. The entire phenomenal universe of names and forms is mere projection of my mind here in my life as individual Jiva. The Maya is playing and functioning through the play of mind, just ensure that your mind is still, and then you see the entire phenomenal universe disappears. Effectively, functionally, virtually. There is no world outside you without mind, and there is no mind without the phenomenal universe. This is a great mystery. Maybe I'll explain in some next discourse. Because unless and until you break free from the chain of thoughts, you are not going to become still. And once you become still, it means your mind becomes still, quiet. There you would experience the complete subsidence of the phenomenal universe, as if the entire world had disappeared, as it happens in the sound sleep state. In the sound sleep, you experience the absence of the phenomenal universe, but the experiencer who is experiencing the absence of phenomenal universe is there. That is my Atman. I am there. I am experiencing the waking state, dreaming state, and profound sleep state. I am one witness to all the three states, and beyond these three, that is my pure nature, the Turiya, the transcendental state. I am free from all the three. I am ever awake. I am that awake and witnessing consciousness which is witness to that profound sleep. I am that consciousness, that Atman, which is substratum of the half-waking mind which creates the dream world. And I am that same consciousness, the Atman of the so-called waking world. I am experiencing the imaginary phenomenal universe of names and forms. They are all coming and going, but I, as pure consciousness, Chitti, I am resting, I am abiding, I am reveling, and I am separate. Not a single atom of this universe can touch me. The entire universe has appeared, and it is appearing and disappearing upon my substratum, and yet I am ever untouched. As the entire water in the desert, the mirage water of the desert, can't weight a single grain of sand because it's illusory. The infinite ocean which is appearing on the desert as mirage can't weight a single grain of sand because it's illusory. Even so, the entire range of weapons, atom bombs, or this entire universe, or death or birth or disease or sorrow or suffering, they can't touch me because they are all appearances, mental projections, play of Maya. Therefore, my bliss is unhindered. There is no possibility in my true nature as Atman of any death or disease. I transcend time, space and causation. I am timeless reality as consciousness. Consciousness alone is that supreme reality. Consciousness alone is my true Atman. Consciousness alone is source, substance and substrate of this phenomenal universe. And consciousness I am. Consciousness you are. Consciousness is supreme truth. There is nothing other than consciousness. Everything in the universe is mere appearance in upon consciousness, that is Atman. On my Atman, not only my body, but the entire phenomenal universe is appearing, a superimposition, adhyasa. But in reality, once I have detached myself from this phenomenal universe and the body, I have dissociated, I have become dispassionate, I am resting and abiding and reveling in Atmananda. So there is no possibility of any bondage, any limitation. I am ever free. I am ever mukta. Nothing can limit me. Time and space and causation depend on me, on my substratum. They are mere appearances. I am not conditioned either by time nor by space. I am Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna. I am unlimited. I am means Atman, that is of the nature of pure consciousness. The pure consciousness is never limited or conditioned either by time or space or the law of causation. It is cause of all the causes, and thereby it's the almighty reality. That almighty reality I am. I have realized the complete unity. Now I can't see any separation. All the separation and duality and death and disease and birth are of the bodies which are mere appearances, product of Maya. In my reality, in my Atman, I am one indivisible, non-dual, supreme reality, and I am now abiding and reveling in my true nature, and there is no possible. I am timeless, transcendental reality. Nothing can touch me, nothing can enter in me. The entire phenomenal universe is mere appearance within me. When you see in the mirror or on a transparent lake the plantations or the sun or moon, either anything there, nothing. The reflection of the fire in the mirror or the reflection of snowfall in the mirror, they can't either wet the mirror or burn the mirror. Their reflections. Even so, the entire phenomenal universe of good, bad, ugly is mere appearance. It doesn't have the capacity to touch me. The death and birth of the universe and death and birth of the bodies is only death and birth of names and forms, not spirit. The death and birth of necklace doesn't imply the death and birth of gold. The golden chain, the golden ring, the golden necklace are born and they die, but the gold doesn't born. The gold is essential. That gold is Atman, and here in my case, the pure consciousness, the Atman, which is of the nature of eternal existence, pure consciousness and blissfulness is its nature. There is no change, there is no mutation. I am always immutable, eternal reality. So, by separating the self from not self and abiding, residing, identifying with the self, I am free. This one, that is the conclusion, supreme conclusion. All the Vedantic scriptures will try to give the know-how for the same. That you separate, how to separate the self from the not self, and once you separate the not self, what is not self? That is transcend. Not self, that is unreal, ephemeral, mere appearance. It is name and form. It is always conditioned and limited by time and space and causation. And what is self? The self is that which is eternal, immutable, conditioned neither by time, nor by space, nor by causation. It is timeless reality. It's a transcendental reality. It is eternal in the ephemeral. It is unlimited in the limited beings. It's ever present. Every single atom of the universe is being fully pervaded by that pure consciousness, the Atman that I am. I alone am pervading the entire phenomenal universe, and beyond the complete darkness or the complete void, nothing is free from me. I alone exist everywhere as everything, and yet I am none of them. I am immutable reality as Atman, and I have realized that I am ever free. There is no bondage in me, there is no sorrow in my true nature. All sorrow, suffering of the body I had through ignorance borrowed or falsely imagined in my and upon my Atman. No, all the sickness, ailments, afflictions, death and birth and deprivation are affecting the body only, but the Atman is ever free from them. Atman is ever free, Atman is ever satiated, ever fulfilled. That is why I will conclude with the recitation of that supreme verse of the Vedantas. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Chidanandarupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidanandarupaha Shivoham Shivoham.